You ever get that feeling when you're walking alone at night and everything just feels too quiet? Like the whole world has hit pause, holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. That's the vibe one guy from Seattle couldn't he shake on a spring night back in 2012. It was a night that would leave him questioning everything he thought he knew about reality and what might still be lurking out there. So it all kicked off around midnight. The guy, let's call him Mike, was tossing and turning, struggling to catch some Z's. Finally, he decided to step out for a walk in his neighborhood. It wasn't sketchy or anything, just super quiet. Think rows of old houses, dim street lights flickering, and the occasional car humming by. He'd strolled these streets countless times before, but tonight felt different. You know that feeling when your gut just tells you something's off? As he rounded a corner onto an empty street, he spotted movement up ahead. A man. At first glance, he seemed like any other pedestrian, tall, thin, dressed in a suit. But something was way off. The way this guy walked was bizarre. It was almost like he was dancing, but not in a good way. He'd take a few exaggerated steps, stop, turn, and sway his hips in this slow, unnatural rhythm. Under the flickering yellow street light, Mike caught a glimpse of his face, pale, stretched into this wide, creepy grin. Not the friendly kind, either. It felt all kinds of wrong. Mike thought maybe the guy was drunk or high, so he crossed to the other side of the street and kept walking. He glanced back once, and the man was still dancing, twirling in slow, jerky movements like he couldn't hear the music that played only for him. Then, out of nowhere, the man stopped. He faced Mike, still smiling. Still perfectly still, Mike froze, caught in that moment of indecision, wondering if he should say something or just keep moving. But deep down, something told him to avoid any engagement. So he kept his gaze straight ahead, trying to breathe normally, but his footsteps seemed to echo louder in the thick silence. When he glanced back again, the man had shifted positions. Now he was standing across the street, way closer than before. Mike's heart raced. It felt like the distance between them had just evaporated in an instant, but he hadn't heard a single footstep, hadn't seen him cross the road. He just appeared, and that grin, it was still there, stretching unnaturally wide, teeth glinting under the flickering light like a creepy, painted mask. What was going on? Mike turned down another street, picking up his pace, feeling that familiar knot of anxiety in his stomach. The houses here were darker, blinds drawn tight, porches empty and lifeless. It felt like the whole neighborhood was holding its breath. He could hear his own breathing now, sharp and uneven, echoing in the eerie stillness. For a few moments, there was nothing behind him, just silence, then a sound. A faint tap, 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 footsteps. He glanced over his shoulder, and his blood ran cold. There he was again, the man on the opposite sidewalk, keeping pace with him. But this time, he wasn't dancing. No, he was walking stiffly, almost like a predator stalking its prey, head tilted forward as if he was sizing Mike up. That grin, it hadn't budged an inch, still frozen, still impossibly wide, like it was carved right into his face. It sent chills racing down Mike's spine, making him feel like he was the hunted, not the hunter. Mike's heart started to race, and he quickened his steps. So did the man. It was like a twisted game of cat and mouse, only there was no escape. He crossed to the next block, and guess what? The man followed, matching his pace like some creepy shadow. He stopped. The man stopped too. It became a bizarre game of stillness, and the only rule was don't break eye contact. Every time Mike looked away, it felt like the smiling man got a little closer, a little more threatening. He thought about running, but something about the man's movements, that eerie, puppet-like stiffness, made him feel like if he bolted, the man would chase him down. So he faked normalcy, phone in hand, pretending to text, even though his fingers were trembling too much to type. What a nightmare! He looked up, and the man was gone. Mike's chest loosened for a second, relief flooding in. Maybe it was just some weirdo messing around. Maybe he'd turned off somewhere. But then, from the corner of his eye, he caught movement again. Not ahead, not behind. Across the street, just at the edge of the light. The smiling man was crouched, not standing, crouched, like an animal ready to spring. That was it. Mike ran. He sprinted down the street, sneakers slapping the pavement, his breath loud in his ears. He didn't look back, not once. He could feel the air shift behind him, the prickling sense that something was moving fast to fast, just out of sight. He turned corner after corner until he saw his apartment building, bolted up the stairs, slammed the door, and locked it. For a long time, he just stood there, chest heaving, listening. Nothing. No knocks, no footsteps, just silence. He finally went to bed, convincing himself it had been some disturbed stranger, a drug addict. Maybe. But deep down, he knew something about that night didn't fit with anything human. The next morning, when he looked out his window, there was nothing. The street was empty. But at the base of his building, near the sidewalk, he noticed something small, a single, deep footprint in the dirt. He didn't go outside to check. Over the next few weeks, more people around Seattle reported seeing a similar figure. Always at night, always smiling, always moving in strange, jerky motions. One woman claimed she woke to see him standing outside her second-story window, smiling up at her. Another man said he saw the smiling man crouched beneath a streetlight, staring at passing cars. When the man honked, the figure turned its head in slow motion and waved. The story spread online. YouTube videos, Reddit posts, creepypastas. Some dismissed it as fiction, but others swore they'd seen him too. One post described the same stiff walk, the same grin, and the same chilling behavior, freezing whenever you look directly at him. Psychologists have theories. They say it could be a rare psychotic individual or a type of delusion shared through mass suggestion, the internet's version of an urban ghost. But there's one unsettling consistency, the smile. No one ever reports seeing the smiling man frown, speak, or blink. Just that grin, inhumanly wide, unnervingly still, and impossible to forget. And the detail that ties all sightings together, he never comes too close, not at first. He follows, dances, appears in the periphery until you break eye contact. Then he moves, fast. Some say he's a manifestation of anxiety, a product of sleepless nights and dim streets. But others think he's something older, a shadow figure that takes form from the energy of fear itself. The more people talk about him, the more real he becomes. The more you think about him, the closer he gets. Maybe that's why, even now, there are reports from other cities, Portland, Chicago, New York, people seeing a man in a suit with an unbroken grin, standing under flickering lights, always smiling, always watching. If you ever find yourself walking alone at night and see someone ahead, tall, thin, moving just a bit wrong, whatever you do, don't look away, because once you do, you might not like how close that smile gets.